So I'm just going for a walk right now. There's nothing much to do today. I'm so bored because I can't set up my painting because because of the fact that everything's being still moved around and painted and all this and that. So I can't actually do any painting to do something other than computer or watch TV or something. I can't watch TV essentially because I know television's essentially a lot further away from your face than the computer. So I've just been watching movies on the computer instead of the television because the television is packed away while everything's still moving and changing. And I'm not going to walk very far because I do need to go to the bathroom. But yeah, there's the dog's being okay. Had an operation yesterday, so today she's recovering, and she's decided that she's wanting to just curl up and die, as people usually do, after they've had some extensive operation. So she's being coddled. She was freaking out because I think we presume she was in a bit of pain all of a sudden, and she suddenly realized that a big operation can put her in a bit of pain, and she was clutching her toy in her mouth and whining. So she was obviously not in a good way, but she's resting in a little darkened corner after being given a painkiller now. So that's her. But yeah, for me, I'm just so bored. There's really nothing much to do. Nothing much to do at all, We don't have the other interesting animals that we can have fun with, like the goats and the chickens. And yeah, so... But I am thinking more and more that possibility of leaving. Because I do remember I've owned this house previously, and I think I got up to 15 coats before neighbours said, "Oh, don't be ridiculous, you don't need 20 or 30 coats of paint on your house." And it's like, yeah, you do. So unfortunately it was almost in a wind protectant way, but not quite. And so obviously the additional 5 to 10 coats that I was aiming to do was probably pretty important and stuff. But I don't like people, being busybodies, walking into your property to try and tell you what to do. I think that's very rude, and I don't think it should be allowed. And I've lost several houses because I don't get along with neighbors, and courts are no good to obtain the general rule that get off the property if it's not yours, sort of thing. So police can be even unstable in certain areas, and you just find yourself facing a mockery of things. And that's why people can do that, like push you around and even push you to sell, even though you've owned the property and don't want to sell it. They can take you to court, and the judge be lenient towards their point of view and say, they say, well, just sell and find yourself a new house, a new area. And you're like, excuse me. So I've had the same thing over and over again, and because courts are like that, they don't hold things steady. They are encouraged to be persuaded to go from one side or the other, and it's like, just move, you're not getting along with the community around you, and they allow it, and you're like, that sucks, because now you're without a place to live, an affordable place to live especially. I mean, you can't just pick up and buy a $500,000 house. It's like, if cheap is the thing that's drawing you towards the property, it's like you don't always have cheap houses around, and so you find yourself jumping from place to place, and Everyone's like, why are you buying and selling? You know, you look you look ridiculous. You know, when it's all put on paper, and it's like, well, no one backs up the fact that when you buy something, it's yours. You know, everyone like feels like they can bully you around and stuff, and then you're encouraged to buy like a new plot of land in a brand new house, which you probably can't afford, and it's like, yeah. So I think there's too much slack. It just seems there's a little slack, I mean, for things like that to happen. I'm like, and you're like going, well, if I want to paint my freaking house like 30 or 50 times, I will. What? Yeah, and so it's like, if you want to paint your house as many times as you want, especially for wind protection, then it's like you should be able to. And it's like, screw everyone else. You should be able to. So unfortunately, I did lose this house when I had bought it like ages and ages ago, because I did buy it a couple of times when I got sick of the normal everyday world, and I mean, it's a very nice place. I mean, potentially, I mean, you can do whatever you like with this land and it'd be cool, but I think I even raised cattle at some stage, which is heartbreaking because, of course, you know, I don't like the cattle industry where cattle are raised to be slaughtered. So, but I think I did allow myself to raise some cattle, and people pick it up and they pay big dollars for cattle, but it's heartbreaking to know that they're being carted off to a worse place. But people love meat, and you raise cattle, people pay top dollar for. They just come along in a truck and go, hey, you love your cattle, look at your cattle, let's buy your cattle. Because the meat industry kills millions and millions, probably billions of cattle a year. But they do that in here. They just, people roam around in the truck cars picking up animals for meat or whatever, maybe for productive purposes, but essentially you think probably meat. And they just do it. They pick it up from everywhere. But anyway, another heartbreaking tale of the country. Yeah, I don't really like the meat industry. It's like, I just think, how can someone stand it? You have to be like mad to stand killing so many animals. I couldn't do it, and I don't even like to think of it. So anyway, back to this story. So I was thinking about leaving because of the fact that I've had this house before, and doesn't matter how well your ceiling's sealed, the tornado is gonna, if your house on the outside isn't strong enough, all that wind's gonna get rid of your house. Really, it needs 30 coats of paint, and you're like going, well, by the time everyone's like going, you're mad, you don't need 30 coats of anything. But you really do, and even then, it only may. So I give this. I keep getting the heebie-jeebies in the middle of the night. I like wake up and I think, oh, is a cyclone coming? They get tornadoes here actually. Is a tornado coming? And you're like going. I mean, it feels great. I mean, it's a nice looking house, and now that it's being done up, it's beautiful. But you know, it's got a lot of breadth. It's got a lot of height. You don't feel like you're suffocating. It's wonderful house. Don't get me wrong. It's just that when the weather turns, without the outside of it being painted over and over and over and over and over again, it unfortunately it'll go up in smoke. It doesn't matter what you have in it. I mean, it might not. Maybe like things are set in the right place. I think it's just a terrible circumstance, and then but that I don't necessarily want to be stuck in the middle of. So, so I don't know. I don't know really what to do about it. I'm sort of thinking, well, I really hate renting. We're spending so much money, not just on electricity, but on rent itself. It's all an expense, and you're like going. So I'm trying to look out for cheap places to buy, and I made a huge mistake not investigating a 185 place in the suburb that we used to live, because it looked really good and spacey. I wish I were there, because then I wouldn't be feeling as crippled, because I'm stuck in between living cheaply and not being able to do the things that I love to do. And I love the country. Yes, I do love the country, but I'd rather be, at the moment, I'd rather be living closer to the city, just in case additional options, just for the access to the things that I like to do, And I'm like going, I don't know what to do really. I'm just waiting for the opportunity to buy something, and because I don't like renting. I don't want to spend $500 freaking a month on rent when you can put a freaking solar system on whatever you buy. But then there's the issue of insurance. So I'm not sure. I look at some nice places in the other state that I used to live, and I'm like, well, why shouldn't I be able to go there, sort of thing. But but I sort of do like the sun, so I'm not sure if I actually want to go there. And so now that I'm daydreaming, I was going to go and enjoy a holiday, and that's ruined my holiday plans, the fact that I have to stay here with the dog, rather than go to have a holiday, because it generally upsets me that my little so I'm gonna probably go in December for my holiday, because I have to go into the city for some photos anyway. So I'll spend a few days maybe at a relative's house, and then I'll get to dye my hair, visit the places I want, attend the photo shoot, this and that. So I might spend 3 or 4 days. I was thinking maybe going, if we have a party here, or if we go over there for a party at the end of November, I might stay there for a week so that I can do the things that I was going to do, next week, whenever it is the 1st of November, next couple of weeks. So I might just wait till late November, early December to do whatever one. I really just need a week, But yeah, I do have to keep looking out for things, because just in case something cheap comes up. But I really should have bought that house. I was like, but at the same time, I didn't have that much of a job. So I was sort of fairly new to job, and I've switched jobs many times, and all those times I switched jobs, I was probably financially unstable a little bit, but I don't know. I did enter a lotto draw for a free house, but I don't like those draws, because they cancel. They say, oh, it's a bit of a joke, you're not supposed to actually live here. And so I was contemplating of entering this other draw. It floods a lot, it gets some thing, but previously I've made it fairly windproof, sort of thing, and but you waste thousands of dollars buying something that people just want to kick you out of, and they make an excuse to kick you out of it. So, but I am contemplating of entering it with one ticket. I'm not sure if I will. I just know it's a house that I've sort of managed to stand for a while, and it only ended because I had been kicked out. So, yeah, I might enter it. I mean, I gave $5 to a charity today, and it cost $10 for entry, but I get sick of. Yeah, it's not really ideal to go for those win a house schemes, because they just take it away. They are like, oh, the weather's too rough, and let's take it away. And so you really only have 3 to 6 months before it all goes away. But I do like those houses. I mean, I wish it was like the real deal forever, but it's like, no, it's not. Otherwise, I would have. There's 2 or 3 of them that I've sort of stayed a fairly long time at. So, and it's like, oh, why should I be able to kick? You just make a real statement. It's like, I've won this house, and I should be able to keep it if I want, and this and that. So, but yeah, I don't. But I'm very tempted to spend a few months there. You're essentially it beats renting, I guess, for a few months, and you can sort of pretend that you'll that you'll be okay with it, whatever. But I will. No, I don't know. But yeah. Or I could sell it. Just do it up and sell it. It's a pretty good house. They won't get that it's a fake sale until months later or something. Yeah, and yeah, but like I said, I'm in a bit of a dilemma, because I look at the house and I'm like, yeah, to my memory, if that house isn't strong enough, it's just going to be turned into splintered wood, and by the summer is usually when tornadoes come for some reason, and by then if I move out, and I'll probably hear someone screaming on the phone one day and be like, oh, tornado, my house is being ruined and I have no more money. I mean, I wish I could just win lotto. I almost won lotto the other week. I got like 4 out of 6. 4 out of 6 numbers, and I'm like going, oh my gosh, I've almost got it, you know. I wish I could just win lotto and then be like, okay, so I'm going to buy a nice property, or okay, I'm just going to shove a house in it, and if I hate it or change my mind about it, I'll just rent it or sell it and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, nothing ever stops. You know, you don't ever make yourself secure at all. It's like always a problem until you're this and that. But I would love to live closer to the city, because I mean, I love it here, but I want to be closer to the actual one to be able to do stuff. So now I'm gonna have to just plan that November-December holiday, and then take on the next year after I finish with the photo shoots. I don't think my look's really in demand. It doesn't help that I don't dress up though. I know that they're like ironed hair, and if you wear scraggly hair, they won't hire you and stuff, and you're going, whatever. But yeah, yeah, I am sick of living with the other person. They're turning quite ditzy and they're annoying. And I'm like thinking, geez, I'm a little bit of a practical thinker. I mean, I'm not ditzy. I am ditzy too, but I'm not that kind of ditzy where, they just take forever to do things, and I'm like, and then I also get in trouble. Like I'm not free to do whatever I like. Like if I want to make a video, I have to aim my. They're like a little bit against me making videos, and I'm like, can't charge me rent and not have me film my own life. So, but I went to the job interview today, and I was like, I screwed it up. Like, oh, what kind of KPIs are you at? I don't just say, I say big store. I don't just say, 20 or 30 an hour, or 20 or 30 a shift or something. It's like I say, I have a whole range of KPIs that I keep. Each job is different. Some jobs are like 20 to 30 calls a shift. Others are more like 150 to 200 calls a shift. And then I had some KPIs last year that were based on your sales targets. You have to get a minimum sale threshold to be able to meet your targets and KPIs and everything. And it's like, oh my gosh, I give a long spiel of distorted talk rather than just say, let's just say 100 calls a shift. So I really should chop it down, make it like realistic. So I'll be like, I should say 150 calls a shift and make that standard, because it's like, because I feel like I'm talking too much and I'm sort of weakening my stance because it's not straightforward enough. So I'm like, that sucks. I just talk too much. I just can't say. I try and give an all-round answer. I end up like feeling like I'm losing the attention span, because I'm like drawing on about different things, or nothing's like, pinpointed that sharply, and it's like, and then at the end I just hang my head and go, well, that's it. That's it. I failed. I failed the interview. So I'm like, I don't know. But I don't know if I failed this one. I just went through it, and at the end I was staring at the top of the phone instead of right at the phone image, and I was like, I don't really care. I've sort of lost my attention by now, because by the end, because I don't feel like I've done good enough. But time will tell. I'll know by Friday, they said. And if I get it, great, because that means I now have 2 jobs to earn a good amount of money each week. Maybe enough to live on my own. But I am also sick of like not knowing what to do with my belongings, because a lot of my belongings are in storage, and I'm like, I wanna be reunited with my belongings so I can get back to selling them. It's really annoying to be so haphazard all the time. But I'm sad. I'm sad that I don't know what I'm doing. That's why I'm sad, and sometimes like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing firm enough to actually do something. Like I know I should move out before tornadoes come along and the house starts being turned upside down. For the last 7 months it's been a dream, but eventually it's going to turn upside down, and I know it's going to be someday, and I don't know when. And I'm being stared at from the balcony, and I'm like, I should leave, but I haven't. And then I think of rental and how expensive energy is, and I'm like, I don't want to leave because I've got solar power here, and I don't want to pay energy prices because they're expensive. And by that time, when I realize how expensive a rental is, that's when I start to think about owning a cheap house. And then I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so I enter a charity draw just in case I can win a house. And that's usually in a forbidden zone where you'll probably get a bit of a bad trip before you're kicked off it anyways. See how